So hey guys, welcome back to another video or audio. That's what it is. Today I'll be doing a review of season 4 episode 9, Ready to Love, and this episode is called Secrets and Betrayal. And let's get into it. So the episode starts off with the ending of the previous season, where Liz and David were talking, and what's her name? Alexis and Ron were talking, and they were both getting in a heated conversation. So that's where it's picking up. So in this episode, it starts off where Liz was still trying to get David to let her talk. David was trying to get her to let him talk, and it was going back and forth. And he blurted out that he's self-eliminating, and she was like, well, no, she stated, you're not ready to love, and then he's like, that's good anyways because I'm self-eliminating. And she was like, well, why didn't you tell me that? Save me all the energy. And he was like, oh, not going to let the enemy get in the way. And I'm like, the enemy? Aren't you your own enemy though? Then with Alexis and Ron, she told him that he wasn't ready to love, and he, when he was leaving, was basically like, okay, and I kissed Amber anyways. And I was like, oh, petty Betty. That's what he is. But yeah, in an interview he was doing a full-on explanation of that though, and said, oh, it was editing that made him look aggressive right there, because he was really aggressive. I was like, okay. One thing I did want to point out though, where in the previous episode 8, he was mentioning in the interview where he said that when he said, you can't offer me anything, he was saying he wasn't directly saying that to her. He was saying that the conversation was surrounding that she had been used in the past, where because Alex is in production, guys wanted to use her for clothes, and so he was saying, oh, he's not that type of guy, so it's not like she can offer him that because he's not in television business, or doesn't necessarily. So he was trying to explain himself there, which I guess that could have been editing. So yeah. So for the new episode now, we see where nephew Tommy was telling them, or they were in the men's lounge, and nephew Tommy was telling them that they were going to, sorry guys, that was my ice maker. So nephew Tommy was telling them that they were going to be going on a cabin trip, and everybody was looking up cozy, wondering who they were going to cozy up with. And so who do we have left? We have AJ left, we have Jason left, we have Joel left, and we have KG Smooth left. KG. I think in my previous video I was saying his name wrong, which I apologize. Yeah, his name is KG Smooth Chris. And on the female side, we have Vernisha left, we have Alexis left, we have Liz left, and we have, did I already say Kyra and what's her name, the other lawyer that's into KG, what's her name, Amber, that's her name. I don't know, her name was so far from my mind. And Amber left. So we see everybody start arriving at the cabin. We see Vernisha and we see Joel, and Vernisha is saying that she's looking to spend more time with Joel. And then we see apparently Liz and Jason arriving at the same time, and we see him being a gentleman and bringing her back for her, which is so nice of him. And him in the confessionals talking about how she looked nice and her body shape. I'm like, Jason, that's not the only thing you should be focusing on, honey. There are other things to be focusing on, but you know what, it's appealing to the eyes, and if he's gotta talk about it, I mean, do you? So we see everybody's outside relaxing, and then we see Alexis comes up, and when AJ comes in, she's, hugging, and she says in her confession that she's low-key kind of mad at AJ because she wanted to speak to him, and he wasn't really there for her. And I'm like, girl, you let him play you, because you let him give you that kiss knowing it wasn't real or genuine. You let him do it. And then as I mentioned in my previous video, that I think he just did that to be saved, because she was saying that she wanted to talk to him about the run experience, but he wasn't there for her, or I don't know if he didn't reach out, or she texted him and he didn't reply or something. But yeah, she just setting up herself to get hurt if she stays with AJ. Let me know if you guys agree. Kara is then mentioning that even though she and AJ has had ups and downs, she said for the most part they have ups right now. So probably, do you think he's showing energy to Kara that he's not showing to Alexis? Or do you guys think he's just putting in all that effort just so she cannot refer to him as El Cheapo anymore? Do you guys think that's what he's doing? Then we see everyone goes inside and everybody's having a good time. They're playing games, they're drinking, everybody's talking, seeming to be vibing and having a good time. So we see Amber, Venetia, Kara, and Alexis are talking, and I guess they're talking about the guys. And Venetia basically said that she's secure with, well, at least she thinks she's secure with Joel. She's saying he makes her feel comfortable, and then he jumps in like, I heard my name. What are you guys talking about? And they're asking him, so like, how are you secure in? He's like, what's the definition of secure? And so we know in one of the previous episodes, I think it's episode 6, where Tommy was asking the guys, if they were to leave right now, who would they leave with? And Joel said Kara, because he was mad at Venetia at the time, which is dumb. Because are you saying if you get into a relationship, you're gonna choose another girl because you're upset with your girl? That's crazy. So his explanation was dumb, not viable at all. Like, I would still be mad, or I'd be turned off by that. And so Amber was saying that she heard from Ron, and I heard Ron said in a lie that she's lying because he never told her that. But based on this, Amber said that she heard from Ron that Joel chose Kara as his number one, and so Amber's gonna bring it up now to try to stir some drama. But do you guys think that she's trying to stir drama? Because I felt like while she could have said it to her in private, I felt like they were talking about the conversation at the time, because he's saying he has the strongest connection with Renisha right now. But I would be thinking, say the strongest connection with Renisha, but you'd be leaving with Kara. Like, that 2 + 2 does not make 4. And so do you guys think it was petty that she asked in front of the group of girls or stated in front of the group of girls that she heard that he wanted to leave with Kara? Or do you guys think she should have asked her in private, or mentioned it to her in private? Or do you think it's even her business to mention it? Because Joel did not mention it to her, and it has been 2 weeks, because that's what they said. It has been 2 weeks, and he hasn't mentioned it, and he said he was going to mention it. It's been 2 weeks. Do you guys really think he was going to mention it, or is he just running around? There's something about what he's saying, like, it's kind of like a player move that's giving me the wrong vibes about him. Like, he's not being honest, and he's just like running around games. Do you guys think so? So we see the girls are outside, and well, let's talk about something else before. After that conversation and him basically trying Joel trying to explain himself out of that situation, which I said didn't make sense to me. We said that they had a snow cone truck came, and well, I call it snow cone because that's what it looks like. And you guys, some people may call it shaved ice or something. And that came, and they were getting drinks and drinking, and we see Joel hugging up on Renisha. Do you think that's him trying to make up? Like, I'd be like, stand back, boo. I'm still mad at you. And so we see the girls now are outside, talking, and Kyra is asking what it is they hope to get from this ranch trip and everything. And Vernisha is saying that she hopes to get some clarity from this. Alexis says she is looking for a made-up mind. And Kyra said, well, that's funny because I don't have a made-up mind. And I think she's talking between Jason and AJ. She's saying that she doesn't have a made-up mind between both. And then Amber jumps in and said, oh, so what are you two gonna do about liking AJ? What are you two gonna do about liking Jason? So she was talking about Alexis and Kyra liking AJ, and Kyra and Liz liking Jason. So she was like, oh, so what are you two gonna do about that? And then she turns to Vernisha and be like, Joa can stay over there. Messy. And then Kyra says she's not going to make a decision based on who has chosen her, but she's going to make a decision based on who, she is really there for. And I think that's true. And I think I even mentioned that in my last video. Like, not because somebody's choosing, okay, I was saying that with the Alexis and one situation where she said, she kind of gravitated towards him, or basically went for him because he was going for her. And I'm like, but if you don't genuinely like him, like, why are you putting your effort into him? Like, don't waste his time and don't waste your own time. So I like that Kyra is doing that, and nobody should ever do that. Like, not because somebody is choosing you. If you don't genuinely have feelings, or after a few times of talking, you guys don't connect, like, don't force it, because then you're gonna end up being happy, and you're gonna always try to go to that person to make you happy. You should be making yourself happy first. And then now we see where it turns to the guys, and now Jason is basically turning to AJ and says, let's talk about Kyra, because they both like her. So he's saying and stating where he is at with Kyra. See, and as I was saying, AJ basically just said that Kyra, he's been spending a lot of time with Kyra to try and change her perspective, which I'm like, I think that's what he's more focusing on making up on last time, rather than focusing on now time. Because I feel like once she has, fully forgotten, or if she ever fully forgets about the El Cheapo thing, like, after that is all the effort's gonna stop. Do you guys think so? Okay, so now we see Jason and Liz and AJ and Kyra. All four of them are going to ride some horses out on the stable. And we see where Jason was being a gentleman again, and he was basically, when they were stepping on some stairs, like probably 2 to 3 stairs, he held Liz's hands, and then he held Kyra's hand to come down. And I'm like, so why is AJ just walking? Like, is this dude, he's got to step his game up. Like, little things like that I pay attention to. Like, hello. But Jason's a very gentleman. He is. He's a darling, at least based off what we can see. And so back at the house now, we see Joel cooking in the kitchen, and then he's calling Vernisha over, come on baby, to come over into the kitchen, and he's hugging up to her while he's cooking, and asking her if she wants to taste one of the shrimp, and she's like no. And so And she comes in, she's like, I feel better in the kitchen by yourself. And he's like, oh, so you care about me? She's like, care about you a little bit. And then she's like, but I need you to care. And he's like, I care a little bit. I'm like, no, sir, that's the wrong thing. You should not be caring a little bit. You should be caring a whole bit. A whole bit. And then he changed it up quickly and be like, no, not a little bit. And then she's like, well, I need you to act like it, sir. And then he's like, oh, so you don't think I act like it? And she's like, nope. And he's like, well, that's messed up. It's not messed up. She doesn't feel that way. Based off what you just said. Based off what I know, I heard that Kyra and Radisha are very close friends. And I'm like, do you guys think he was just, because he was upset, he was trying to use Kyra as kind of to get under her, say Kyra's name to get under her skin, even if he didn't mean it, because they're friends? If that is true, that's really like tacky. Like, why would he do that? Like, he could have chosen Amber, he could have chosen Liz, but he chose the person who she was closest to, just Kyra, and they didn't even go out. I heard that we saw that he and Amber went out. So like, not even Amber, but Kyra, who he didn't even go out with. And then Vanisha said, in her confessional, that she's trying to be over the whole situation, but she's not. Neither would I. I'm pretty emotional. And then she says she feel like he owes her more than he's telling her, which is true. Like, I would need an explanation for that myself. She says she's looking for an apology. Can you believe in all of this? He has not apologized. Like, if I have to say to you, apologize, like, I'm gonna think it's not genuine. So now, she's looking sad, and he's like, so what's up? And she's like, oh, nothing. And he's like, oh, don't give me that nothing. You heard me? It's crazy. Ranisha says she felt blindsided by that, which anybody would. And then he says, oh, I felt what I said at the time was being honest. What? So, as Ranisha said, you're willing to throw all of what we had away just because of one argument that we had? That's childish. Like, I thought he was more mature. He's 41 or 42, and you're being childish, so petty, like a young. Well, he would, even though some young boys are mature, like some high school thing. Like, what? And then Ranisha feels like he's not seeing her side of the situation and making an entire situation. Like, guys can be so sometimes. Okay, so we see Ranisha goes outside where Amber and KG is, and she's trying to explain herself, and Amber asks, oh, so what's the happy medium? She's like, there is none. And so we see that KG is going to go inside and talk to Joe. Right, so KG basically goes inside to straighten up this guy and explain, like, you have to view it from her side. Like, Tommy asked who you're leaving with. You said Kara. 2 weeks have gone by and she has to hear from somebody else and not you. The least you can do is apologize. Like, don't let it seem like she's blowing things out of proportion when she really isn't. She's making a valid point. Like, why are you trying to belittle her? And I agree. Like, don't do that. Make it seem like she's crazy or something when you're the real crazy one. Now we see it's nighttime where Liz and Jason basically are outside under a gazebo and they're talking. Liz says, every time Jason and I go on a date, it's so romantic. So she's like, there was a kind of a space between them, and she's like, oh, I'm cold. He comes over and be like, let me warm you up, baby. And they drew closer together and start hugging up and talking. And Jason basically saying, the bond is getting stronger between us. And again, they kissed. I haven't seen him kiss Carol on the lips. I think I saw him kiss her probably on the cheeks or on the forehead. This was the second time I've seen him kiss Liz. They like kissed. Do you guys think he has a stronger connection with Liz? Maybe the kiss doesn't mean. I don't know. What do you guys think? And he says, you know, when a woman can bring a man peace, that's everything. Ain't that the truth? And Liz says, Jason makes her feel like a princess. After their kiss, he's like, my emotions are all over the place. So Joel finished cooking and everybody is in the game area, I think, living area. They're basically on a couch area that I'm seeing, eating and enjoying. And then we see Joel basically, you know, talking to Venetia. I think he took KG's advice and was trying to talk to her, and he basically was trying to apologize. Well, he did. He said I should have taken accountability. That's what he said, and so on. Okay. And he said, yeah, he did say I'm sorry. He's like, you should give me a chance to take accountability. But she was trying to make you see the picture, and you wasn't seeing the picture though. Like how hard it is for you to get the picture. She was trying to do that, but you weren't picking up. Are you slow or what? He's like, so are you gonna give me a kiss? Or I can smack one on you. I'm like, back up. Okay, so Alexis and AJ now are eating together, and so she brought up the whole situation. She's like, I called and I texted you and I got no response. His excuse, I saw the text late. So can't you reply the next morning? Did you not wake up? Dumb. You could have still responded. Then she says, I'm feeling very neglected by AJ. I told you already, sis. He just wanted to stay, that's why he kissed you. So Alexis is saying 1 minute she feels completely reassured, and then the next moment she's like, where are we at? Because she's basically saying that the communication is on and off. 1 minute he's completely reassuring her about the relationship, well, the situationship at hand. The next minute, like, there's no communication. I kind of get that from AJ, seeing how he speaks. And so they were like, oh, let's get into some games. And AJ's like, are we good? Of course she's not good. And she's like, oh, I'm good. And then she said in the confessionals, I said I'm good, but I'm really not good. Like, we know you're not good, girl. AJ says that he thinks Alexis wants a lot of reassurance. I'm like, nothing is wrong with giving somebody like reassurance about, you know, a situation. I think he's just like, I don't know. Do you guys get player vibes from him? I don't want to judge him, but I kind of get that from him. And so with the games now, they're like, let's play truth or dare. So AJ goes first and he's asking KG. He says truth or dare. KG says dare. And he's like, AJ is like, for an minute and a half, rub Amber's feet. I'm like, which guy wouldn't appreciate a foot rub? And so yeah, that was his dare. So now KG, he's doing Venetia, and he says shoot her dare. And Venetia is like, I ain't never scared. And she says true. And KG question is it true that after tonight you'll be done with Joelle? And she says that's definitely not true, because we know she's gonna go back to her boo. And then Kara says truth or dare, and he says dare to Joelle. Joelle says dare, and then Kara said that they have to kiss for a minute. That's a pretty long kiss to keep kissing for a minute. And they kissed, and it just seemed like they would never. And then I think in a video he says it was awkward for them. Oh no, my bad. It was for 10 seconds. I'm like, a minute. Oh, so yeah. So Kara said kiss for 5 seconds, and then Alexis said kiss for 10 so it can be awkward. And then now Venetia said Jason truth or dare, and Jason said truth. And then Venetia asked, is it true that you're a bit torn between Liz and Cara? And Jason said, that's true. And then Venetia said, so who are you feeling the most? And he covers his face because he doesn't know who to choose. And so, okay, so I should have said this. If he didn't want to answer the question, he had to take a shot. And so when she asked, who are you feeling more? He took a shot because he did not want to answer. And then Cara said in her confessionals, oh, he couldn't answer the question. But every time, she said, every time somebody asks, whether AJ or Jason, she always says Jason. She feels a way that when he's asked, Cara or Liz, he don't want to answer, or he can't choose, or doesn't want to choose. And then I'm not sure who asked, but somebody said choose her there, which probably Amber, because she's asked the question. And she says, is it true that you're torn between any of the ladies here? And he said yes. He said Cara and Alexis. And then she drops the bombshell. That's a 2-part. And then she's like, why does she have to go into all the hard questions? She's like, what are some of the qualities that you like? What are some of the qualities that he likes between Alexis, and what are some of the qualities that he likes in Cara? And then she's like, why do you think these qualities are important? That's such a lawyer question. Like, can we just keep it simple and move on? And so he says, both of the ladies are forthright, and he likes that. And he said he has history with Cara, and then he says, he's been getting to know Alexis, and he likes that. He's really answering the question, but that's his answer. And he says with Cara, it's what is familiar, and with Alexis, it's kind of like, what's new. And then here Alexis now in our confessional, hearing AJ talk about me, that softens my heart. I'm like, darling, don't really buy into that, because his words are saying one thing, but his actions are saying a whole other. And then she's like, well, maybe we do have a connection. Yeah, so she was like, maybe we have a connection, but I'm just being extra. And so Alexis Costello was the Cara, and she's like, oh, I know it's coming. And she's like, truth or dare? And she said, truth. Alexis said, what's your true feelings on AJ? And then Cara said, she likes AJ, she's attracted to AJ. And then she says there are characteristics in AJ that she can see in a partner. But she says, there's a head-button friction between them that's kind of holding them back. Or probably holding her back. I'm not sure if that's the way AJ feels. And she says that there's something about him that gives her a bit of reluctancy. And then Alexis says, cheers to the guard. No, I can agree to the guard. Cheers to that. So I guess he's giving both of them that reluctancy, not putting forward much effort, probably little to no effort in his communication. And then Joel turns to Liz and says, Liz, truth or dare? She says truth. And so Joel says, it's obvious when he came in here the other day, some people weren't here. And so she's like, oh, I know what you're getting to. So Joel says, so has this process changed you for the better, or made your mind changed or something? So I think he says for the better or for the worse. And Liz says it has definitely changed her for the better. So she said, Cara said she wanted to know how the situation went with what's the guy's name that got kicked out? She wanted to know how it went with David, and she's like, oh, it went crazy. And then Venetia said, I want to know how it went with Ron. Right, so Liz got back to saying, explaining that he started cordial, and then they were talking, and then he started to get loud and said that he's self-eliminated. And then she said to him, why didn't you tell me that? And everybody started laughing. She said, it was back and forth. He basically didn't want to receive what I was about to tell him about him getting eliminated. And then Alexis Johnson now, me answering a situation about Ron, like, she couldn't let it go. She said it was what? And then she said, it's the most disrespectful conversation I've had in a long time. And she said, I came in the door with this weight on me. It's gotta go. And so she was saying to them that, he kind of had an attitude because he felt or kind of knew that he was going to get eliminated, and so he came with an attitude. And she said he felt like he was condescending, and she was saying that he was trying to belittle her. And then she's telling everybody now that he also said, just so you know, I also went on a date with Amber and we also kissed. And everybody's face was like, huh? What? And then Amber basically said in her confessionals, you couldn't call me to say that you had a problem. You had to say to the group, damn. I'm like, wait. And then I saw KG's face. But let me bring up some things. Why is everybody, I don't know, shocked? Like they're all there for dating. If you get what I mean. On a live, I saw that Amber said Alexis and her are really close friends, and Renisha and Kyra are really close friends. So, and then Ron was basically texting Alexis and Amber, so he liked both of them, and so he went on it with both of them. Amber said all the dates, everything that, you know, everything she did, KG knew because he was her number one. So I'm like, why is KG shocked then that when she said that she went on a date with when Alexis mentioned that she went on a date with Ron, like she said she told him that. So I'm like, is that for production to drop mouth opening or something? And if Alexis and Amber is such good friends, how comes she didn't mention it to her? But in the video, in the interview, she said that she didn't think it was her duty. She think it was Ron's duty to say. And I think that's the thing. There's nothing wrong with making friends, but when you put friends, like when it's friends first, then it kind of eliminates, you know, the dating situation. Because then now Alexis and Amber are friends. Like, he has to choose who he wants to date. Like, he can't date both friends. Like, that make it awkward or something. I don't know. I feel like people should date. Like, don't limit yourself as to who you're talking to. If you get what I mean. Like, let the friendship comes afterward. Nothing wrong with building a bond, in my opinion. And so, back to the video, Alexis was saying, you know everything about Ron and I, because you were praying with me, you were encouraging me, you were giving me advice and everything, and yet still. And she said, you're supposed to be my friend, but you went out on a date with him. Now I feel like you're Judas. I'm like, it's a dating show though. That's what it's for. But yeah, I'm looking forward to next week's episode. So I'm looking forward to next week's episode to see how situations are resolved and what Amber's response is and what KG's response is and what everybody else's response is. Yeah. So even though Amber said KG already knew, I'm not sure if he knew that. Well, probably he did, or probably he didn't. But you know, to see what his response is. I wonder if he went on any date with anybody else. Because I heard in an interview that, you know, he spoke to other ladies, but they weren't interested in him. I don't know. Do you think it's energy? I don't know. I'm not judging anything. He's a bit more of a calm person. What do you guys think? But thank you guys for listening.